Going to be talking about the anatomy of a food crisis. You didn't know it had one? It does. Nahshon Ngetich is the chairman of the Cereal Growers Association and joins us in the hot seat of the Situation Room this morning. Nahshon, good morning.
Morning to you.
Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. It would appear as though we have a food crisis. Okay.
Yes, we do.
Let's get into it. And you're very calm for a man who's walking in a food crisis. But okay, we'll get into that in just a minute. As we normally do, Dennis goes around the African continent every week. He comes back from a different country. Every week, he then gives us the proverbs from that country. We would like then for you to interpret the proverb for today. And he'll tell you what country we're in.
Yes, today we are in the Islamic Republic of Mauritania. And one thing about the country is it's predominantly a desert. Sahara Desert occupies majority of the country. But if you look at the Atlantic, they have fish. So sardines, mackerel, octopus, tuna, and many other fish species do exist in the country. They're also rich in gold, copper, gypsum, and phosphate, which then helps propel the country's economy. The proverb we get from Mauritania today: if all seeds were to grow, then no one could follow the path under the trees. If all seeds were to grow, then no one could follow the path under the trees. How would you interpret it?
Well, yeah, that's an interesting one. It's not from this part of Africa, it's West African side. But I imagine if we were to have genuine seeds, hybrid seeds, for example, for maize, we should be having food. And under a tree, of course, you'll have maybe it's a mango tree, an apple tree. It will fall down, and the seed would be collected, spread by birds or human, and you'd have another plant. So you shouldn't have a problem when you're under a tree. But at the same time, you could be under a shade. So you might not have sunlight enough to grow the seed. So you'll have to do something about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well said, really interpreted, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start from the very beginning. Kenya is in a food crisis. Is that true?
That is true, very possible. And we have been in a food crisis for a long time.
Okay. What does it mean to be in a crisis as concerns food?
What it means is that the market is not efficient. We don't have any more investors into the food chain. And we can't produce enough. We can't feed ourselves. And we are relying now more on inputs. And any shock, any setback, particularly with climate, is when you have a real food crisis at the moment.
But can we grow enough food to feed ourselves is the question. And if we can, what is stopping us from doing that?
Yes, we can. We can grow enough food for ourselves, enough grain. What is stopping us is, as I said, market efficiency. That entails a lot of items that need to be addressed. For example, the population at the moment is almost maybe 55, 60 million. At that population, we require now industrial methods to be used in food production. We are not going to be relying endlessly on subsistence farming. We now need to rely on commercial farming. And we should have transitioned into commercial farming some time ago, long time ago, maybe 10, 20 years ago. And for that reason, with subsistent farmers, we really don't have systems that we can manage them, that we can have them produce high yields. So you find in Kenya the average yield per acre is about 12 bags, while an average yield in South Africa is about 30 bags. So why are we using the same space, the same climate, all right? And we are only getting 12 bags. It means there's a problem on how we are doing our farming. Yeah.
Or if you're doing the farming at all. And I'll ask that because let's go to Galana Kulalu for a minute. All right. And this project, this agricultural scheme was set up to deal with some of the matters that you're talking about right now. And I'm going there directly because we often talk about there's a shrinking agricultural space in the country. The soils are not so good. There's a certain level of acidity in Kenyan soils that impact the product at the end of the agricultural cycle. All of these things we've been told. But why Galana Kulalu was selected was to mitigate all of these things. That there was this massive tranche of land that you were then supposed to do something with it. It's 1.75 million acres, right? The planned irrigation project was to be over 300,000 acres. Now tell me, with good land crop, what would you be able, from a food perspective, what would you be able to glean from 300,000 acres of agricultural land yearly, if we're just looking at grain, maize? What would you be able to get from 300,000 acres of land?
In ideal situations, we should get 40 bags, maybe 12 million bags from 300,000 acres.
12 million bags every year?
Every year, yeah.
From 300,000 acres. All right. That's just from... Sorry, I'm just going to do these rapid fire questions, if you don't mind. How much is Kenya's total collection of maize per year?
Okay, there are two methods of looking at it. We consume 55 to 60 million bags of maize, all right?
Per year?
Per year.
Okay.
But we produce, on average, well, last year we had 45 million, 44.8 million bags. The previous year we had 44.7 million bags. 2023 we had 47. It was quite good.
Okay.
47 million bags.
And what is the source of this 40 million bags?
The source is largely from the North Rift, the western side, Bungoma, Kakamega. Narok has also come in a big way. That those about 5-6 counties account for nearly 94% of the maize that is produced, consumed commercially.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is any of this taken from Galana Kulalu?
Well, Galana Kulalu, as a farmer, because I'm a farmer myself, yeah, and I appreciate so much that you have a farmer today in the show here. To us, stakeholders in the farming world, Galana Kulalu is a massive white elephant.
Okay.
Yeah. And it is a massive white elephant scientifically and also business-wise.
So one asked the question, Kenyan government has invested millions, if not billions, into Galana Kulalu with the promise that with investments that go there through irrigation, through purchase of fertilizer, all the yields that are needed to bring up product, that we should have harvested something from Galana Kulalu. From where it is you sit, what have we harvested from Galana Kulalu that has plugged into food security in the country thus far?
I think the last time I checked, they were doing about 500 acres of seed maize, and it was in very nice photos and all that.
500 acres?
Yeah, it was about 500
against the mapped 300,000?
Yeah.
Oh, fun. Okay.
And the reason why they are not succeeding, as I explained to you, is that there are two aspects that make Galana Kulalu a white elephant, and you can't do anything about them.
Yeah.
Mainly, it's temperature. When you're growing maize, there's a time of pollination. At that time, there's something called pollen desiccation. That is when the pollen are able to fertilize the kernels so that you can have maize.
Yeah.
The temperature in Galana is not conducive for that. Now, well, if you can continue doing your irrigation even during that time, trying to bring down the temperature, and you might get some maize. Now, as you do so, it is not economically viable because maize, farm gate price maize, probably is about 3,000. But for you to be profitable in Galana, you need 4,500 shillings. So essentially, I don't see how Galana can be profitable while you can bring maize to Nairobi, 3,500, while farm gate prices for Galana is 4,000. It's 1,000 shillings more from Galana. So it doesn't really make sense for farmers to go into Galana. It's a waste of time, waste of energy. At the same time, there's so much bureaucracy to acquire land in Galana. Maybe if they come up kidogo to away from so much to the coast, maybe if they come up towards Kitui or something like that, where the Tana River is, we might get some results.
You're joking, right?
No, it's for real. That is what we farmers see.
Sorry. 2014 was around the time that this Galana story was really embedded, and we said, okay, it's going to be fantastic. I believe the projected yields from a very small area was 400,000 bags of maize in a small area. And if that was to be replicated across the 300,000 acres, then you would actually be looking at the deficit that you speak of. The 40 million bags that Kenya produces every year. What Galana then should have been able to do, if this project was correct, was to fill that gap, close the gap between the 60 million consumed and the 40 million produced. Should have been able to do it. But now what I hear you saying is that it should have come here on Monday, because we've said this thing it didn't go wrong. It started wrong. Because if you're trying to tell us now, Nahshon, that the weather conditions in Galana, and everything else from the beginning didn't make sense, why would in 2014 would you go into this knowing full well that weather conditions in this area are not conducive for growing the kind of things that you want to? It's not just maize, by the way. You'd be interested to know that out of Galana, we would see things like livestock, fisheries, food processing, storage and logistics, etc., etc. But the product that we're talking about is maize, seed maize, soybeans, cassava, onions, horticulture, flowers and things like this, sugarcane, orchards, fruits, livestock, fisheries and aquaculture.
So all that is good. It's good in paper, but realistically, I don't think maize will do well in Galana. Realistically, because one, I've told you about the seed desiccation. Secondly, you're likely to be using maize varieties that are drought tolerant. Drought tolerant varieties are low yielding varieties. So you should have looked at those parameters. But I guess there's something that is happening at the Ministry of Agriculture that's been going on for a long time that we all need to appreciate. That the Ministry of Agriculture has been populated with people who are not really for the country for a long time. It has been an employment place because we have been able to the food systems that existed after independence were able to cater for a low population. But now we're a high population. We now need those guys to step up, but unfortunately, they don't have that capacity to step up.
It's Nahshon. I'm going to bring in an example, and I don't know if this example would make sense to us. If you look at the state of Texas in the United States, it's predominantly a dry state rather, but they do provide over millions, around 1.5 to 2 million, 200 million bushels actually of corn annually on 1.5 million acres.
What is a bushel? Okay, I'm joking.
A bushel is about 24 kilos.
Yes, got it.
Yeah. Right? And when you look at that in this state that is dry, the state has intentionally empowered its farmers through irrigation and through supply of products to be able to do that. They are the most important economic driver in Texas as we speak today. In Kenya, we're still stuck we're waiting for rains to come for us to grow. Population has gone up. Climate change is a reality. We are not changing how we have been growing our crops since independence, since Kenya was Kenya. We're doing things the same way and expect different results. Is it about time that conversations around food security looked at each and every single facet that would make us be food secure?
Well, you're talking about Texas. Texas is some few altitudes away from the equator.
Yes.
So you'll have that temperature enough. As much as it's hot in summer, it's also warm in autumn or in spring and all that, and it's conducive for maize production.
Yes.
But where we are right now has been developing for a long time. Okay, so we are in something called policy crisis.
Okay.
Now, in policy, the policy crisis actually started. The policy towards food sovereignty was, I think, started in 1984, when NCPP Act was formulated. I think around it was assented to in 1985, 86 thereabouts, and that set the pace towards food sovereignty, and it should have addressed where we are right now. We should be having the right, in maize, the varieties that are available. There is something called seed placement. You put the right seed, you give the farmer the right seed for his ecological zone.
Okay.
All right. You put based on also the soils that he has. Right. So if you do so, you are bound to be having better results all the time. Right. Naturally. But with the policies that are in place, you look at NCPP Act, there are sections that have been deleted over time through parliamentary or legal challenges in the NCPP Act. But if you go to the original one, which has not been edited, we would not be in this crisis at all. Because it is something that built the stores that we have right now in the country. By the way, if you go around the country, you will find every seed producing zone in Kenya has a store, NCPB store, ready there. And 99 times of the year, it's empty. We only go there to get the fertilizer. But there isn't any grain there that has been stored.
Nahshon, what is research and development that has gone into ensuring that each and different region has seeds that are good for the ecological area? Or are we operating at a point where seeds are just available and a farmer can go and get, has the investment gone into that?
A lot of investment has gone years ago, and we came up with seed varieties. We even just descriptive numbers. For example, 5 series is for low areas like Ukambani regions and all that. 6 series is for highlands like Trans-Nzoia. And then have varieties also meant for fodder. We have varieties meant for human consumption. We have varieties that cut across. This is one a variety that is very good for maize choma. Yeah, we've done all that research. It is there.
Yes,
it is just that we are not doing the right things all the time.
What are we doing?
Well, you remember there used to be extension officers that were at the ministry at the time, and I think with the new constitution, those agriculture devolved. But prior to that, about 10 years into Kibaki's administration, they were gotten rid of, and the new farmers now are not appreciating the presence of an agricultural officer to advise you whether you need liming, as the acidity, whether you need whether you need crop rotation. We need crop rotation at some point from time to time, and the varieties of seed, the amount of fertilizer, the chemicals that are required to spray for limeworm and things like that for your area. So that we're just doing the wrong things, and we farmers are to really blame for all that, because we are not appreciating and we're not asking for field officers to be there. We are not asking county governments that the maize producing regions that we need field officers. At the same time, I talked about earlier on market efficiency. What it entails is that what is the motivation for me to go to a farm and produce 12 bags an acre in 11 acres or 10 acres? What is the motivation that? But if you go through some research, you'll find that at 11 acres, you are not commercially viable farmer, period. Just be informed that if you're doing 1 or 2 acres, you're just joking.
It's a kitchen garden.
Yeah, it's a kitchen garden.
Okay.
The moment you arrive at 15 acres, we can now start talking.
Yeah.
Right? At the moment, by the way, for your information, Tanzania are concentrating on farmers who are 50 acres and above.
And when we say concentrating, that means like there's offtake by government from these farmers for the cereal barns.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And on that note, they are now second to South Africa in maize production in Africa. So why are they doing so? Because we are concentrating on 1 acre, 2 acre farmers.
Okay.
We simply have to tell them, let us do other crops. Let us do vegetables.
Okay.
Let us do other things.
Now, that brings in the question.
Yep.
Is there an over-reliance on maize for Kenya in this food crisis that we talk about? Is there space for a conversation about the diversification of food in Kenya? We're not even talking about food for export at this point. You're talking about food for survival for Kenya's people. There's 60 million bags of maize, of which 40 million is being produced here. So that means 20 million is being imported, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. And some of it is coming from Tanzania, like you just mentioned, of course. Some of it is coming from Malawi, other countries like this. At some point, Ukraine. Now, when we talk about this is food that's being consumed in Kenya. And if there's a food crisis, that means that there's not enough to go around, but not enough of a particular product. So is it about time that we had the mostly uncomfortable conversation about saying, okay, guys, let us now get accustomed to eating something else?
Well, the thing is that maize has very many derivatives that have just come in. One, okay, what do I mean by derivative? Uses, all right? Previously, we were not using maize as animal feeds.
Yeah.
We were simply having a chicken that are free range moving around. We were not feeding them with we were having sheep that were not free. We have zero grazed doppers here. The milk requirement in the country is quite high. So we now need to convert maize into animal feeds. The government has never established how much maize we need for maize choma. Yeah. Or the green maize that is used for gidere. It does not really come out how much we need for it. All right. But this country was segmented some time back. Okay. We used to have Galana for beef, camel rearing there. We used to have Ukambani region for sorghum and wimbi. All right, we used to have North Rift for maize like that, and it's the consumer that is preferring ugali. It's the calories that is required daily is from ugali, and it's stabilized
because that's what's been offered, or because that's what's there, isn't it?
But if you look at rice consumption, it has gone up. Potatoes has gone up. If you look at wheat, it's really gone up. So those alternatives are also checking in, but it's huge, and we need industrial thinking of how to feed Kenyans.
But how many farmers, and I'm going to go to a break, but how many farmers today, like yourself, Nahshon, are saying, okay, you know what? In the crop rotation, if I'm going to grow maize this season, the next I'm going to put sorghum and millet, and I'm going to, rotate my crop that way. Or the next time I'm going to make sure that I have, I mean, did we know that, for example, that you can get flour to make an ugali out of potatoes? That we see there are other countries where you do that with cassava, you do it with millet, you do it with sorghum, you do it with potatoes, you do it with rice, and that you can still have the effect of the ugali effect, perhaps is what is being sought after. Yeah. But how many farmers are actually saying fine? Because it's what you put on the buffet that people are going to buy, right? It's what the people are going to order. If there's maize in abundance coming from, and that's what people are going to say that they're going to purchase. But if you start to introduce it to the market in larger amounts, do we see a situation whereby you then don't have a food crisis because there are offerings on the table?
Farmers like me, for example, are very, very few. There are less than 1,000 probably. Who can think of crop rotation? You have to, there's some research that established that the average age of a farmer in Kenya is 65 years old, and that is very true. Myself, I'm almost 50, but when I go for meetings, I'm almost the secretary because I'm the youngest there. So this 65-year-old farmer now that is forming bulk of our farmers, why is he there? These are retired people who are passing their time. Whether they get 20 bags or 30 bags or 10 bags, it's really, they have produced maize. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's where we are.
And it's insignificant.
And that this is a person who you'll not teach new tricks. And we are having a problem, for example, in North Rift, with a particular plow, a disc plow, that is used quite a bit in Kenya. If you go to countries that produce sizable amounts of maize, it's an illegal implement. In Brazil, it's illegal to use a disc plow in your farms.
Right.
But they produce it and they sell it to Kenya. And for this crisis that we are in, for example, they have not produced maize, they have failed in maize. It's because of that plow. It's because if you look at smart farming, smart farming is you're supposed to let moisture laden into the soil, right? But if you're using a disc plow, when it rains, it evaporates immediately, right? So you need continuous rains so that you can harvest. But if you go to regions like Texas, you will not see that plow at all.
You're looking at heavy mechanized machinery that's operating on a farm.
But there's a fellow in Gilgil that came up with that implement that can be used by local small-scale farmers. And it's a very expensive item. It's taxed. It's something that should be provided by the local enterprises, that government, so that farmers can gain access to it. You need a foot dip, but at the moment in Trans here, you're looking at about 6 inches in a tillage. You really can't get enough from it.
Folks are asking, are we in a food crisis? Is Kenya in a food crisis because there's not enough to go round? It's not producing enough? Or the food is available, but people are not able to purchase nutritional food? What crisis are we looking at here?
Okay, consumers are able to buy the food at the moment.
After all, maize is a staple, and if you can't afford your staple, then we have bigger problems.
But the one in our rains during May, March, April, May, the rains came in slightly earlier, and that was it. And we have to accuse the weatherman here. He didn't advise us properly that there would be El Nino effects. We knew there was El Nino, but we didn't know there was going to be an earlier drought El Nino effect that would come in earlier to pull out the May, June rains away. And that's the tussling stages of a lot of crop in the North Rift and western region of Kenya. And so there is that crisis that there isn't enough to go around for the moment.
But then again, even when we talk about production of the same, so there is what the weatherman said, natural occurrences as well that do exist. But are we moving away from rain-fed agriculture? And if we are to say that we want to produce to be food secure for business, for maize growing or seed growing to make sense, we must move towards highly mechanized agriculture, where then there has to be a conversation on cost of equipment that are needed, on cost of power, on cost of drilling services for this water, for us to be able to say that whether there is rain or not, we are still able to grow. Are these conversations that we are having? And where are we with it?
I wish we could have a conversation on irrigation. Which parts of Kenya would you like to irrigate?
Yes.
Where is that land to irrigate? Where is the source of water for irrigation? I want you to also understand that Kenya is one of the countries that has the most expensive irrigation systems that you can set up. Okay? And when we irrigate, what target crop are you looking at? The best would be long term and I think the government has tried, is let's talk to Zambia, let's talk to Tanzania, let's talk to Uganda. Forget about maize production. Okay?
Yeah.
It's been studied that we are producing maize at break-even. Very little profit is made from maize, except seed. So even if we irrigate, are we really going to make money out of this? That's something that we need to ask ourselves, because we really need. At the moment, I think the farmers are in 5.3 million acres, in the ones all over the place, and we're still not producing enough. Okay, so
I'm sorry, but why? Why are farmers not producing enough? What are the elements of that crisis? What's the problem? Not enough rain?
No. Rain doesn't play a lot. Rain doesn't play a lot. In fact, this year, it is not, as a farmer myself, I don't see rain as an issue here. Land preparation. We're using the wrong tools to do land preparations. There is no economies of scale that we can have that we used to have, say, 20 years ago because of land fragmentation. Number two, it's seed placement. We have obsolete seed going around. No, not climate smart seed. There is climate smart seed in Tanzania, for example, that 4 months you have your maize, it's ready. That means the development stage of that maize, the up to formation of the kernels, is about 3 months. There is enough rain for 3 months in Kenya. Okay. Secondly, we need to have a conversation on the quality of a farmer that that should be working. All right, not a retiree who is just passing time. Okay, so we need to incentivize maize production in this country. If the current 5.3 million acres is under production, if you could just raise it by about 5 bags an acre, then we have enough food. Just 5 bags, just raise it to 15. Raise it to 17 bags an acre. Average countrywide, just to go up to 17 bags in the same space. Then we would not have this food crisis.
So who is the source of this maize? Of course, smallholder farmers, and we're looking at medium to large, right? So you're saying across board of everyone, if you increased your yield by 5 bags per acre, that this 20 million bags that we're looking for, to then the crisis would be over?
It would be over. It would be over. Finished. No problem. We'd go back and do other things. It will be over. The reason is that you have a farmer who is waiting on queues with a quarter of an acre, waiting for a bag there at a bag of fertilizer, and then you are spending all your conversations, you are talking all the time that we have subsidized fertilizer. So fertilizer is about 14% of the cost of production of maize in Kenya. What is expensive at the moment is land lease. In the maize growing regions of Kenya, rent is now about 16 to 20,000 shillings. If you go to Trans Nzoia, it's about 25,000 shillings an acre.
Per
acre.
But per what period
per
of time?
Year.
Per year, okay.
And and it's only one season you're allowed to. Nakuru is 10,000. Narok is about 10,000. That forms about 18 to 20% of your costs. In Trans Nzoia, where you're producing the bulk of the maize, it actually forms 25% of your cost. We have pesticides here. We have herbicides. And actually, pesticides and herbicides form the most expensive part of your production. Those ones are not being addressed, and they're forever going up. So when you get the farmers to be timing on fertilizer, the conversation in government is fertilizer, but they are not telling us that there is a road fuel levy, for example, that we are using machinery. They don't believe, government does not believe that we are using machinery. We are using jembes, the one stick and some metal there. They see that as the farmer, all right? And that is going to be the one producing food. So I don't see how you're going to get the extra 5 bags. It's until you start looking at the road maintenance levy that you're taxing on farmers. All right, is 18 shillings per liter.
Yeah.
And that machine was never in any road. It was simply sat there in the farm, working in the farm. But you're taxing him with fuel road levy. We have to look at the chemicals that we're using. How much are they? It forms up to about 25% of the cost that the government doesn't tell us. You know, we need to subsidize those ones. If we subsidize that, then I'll be encouraged, to increase my acreage to produce food for this country. Yeah.
There is equally a conversation that has been going around about there is food security and there is food sovereignty. Now, when you talk about food security, is ability to feed your population and people to say our belly is full. But when you talk about food sovereignty, is the question of who controls our chemicals, who is this person that controls our seeds. And many have said that multinationals have gotten into the Kenyan society and they are controlling the kind of seeds that we are growing, the kind of chemicals we are using. And internally, are we having these conversations in such that if it's seeds, we produce our own seeds, we know where it's coming from, we can trace where it's coming from. When we talk about chemicals, that we have done our own internal research on chemicals that we do use so that it is not affecting our people, but as well is giving us high yields that we do have. Are these a concern to farmers as we speak today?
At the moment, the government or Kenyans are concerned about food security, not food sovereignty. All right? Because you can bring in maharagwe or beans from Ethiopia or from Uganda or from Congo. We can bring in maize from Tanzania. We can import wheat. By the way, we are now doing 95% of wheat is imported.
Imported, yes.
So we are only food secure 5% as well for wheat, but that's for another day. So if you look at Kenyan agricultural policy is to be food secure. But if you look at France, the agricultural policy is food sovereignty. So that's a world apart. And food sovereignty is that we've got to look at the chemicals, can we make them locally? All right? We look at machinery, can we make them locally? Can we produce them ourselves? We've got to look at available land and try to restrict fragmentation so that your food is secure. With the way we are working, the population, how do we have generational inheritance of, say, 10 acres? Will you have 10 acres still being farmed in the next 50 years? Or will it have been split into plots? So those are the things that separate us from food sovereignty.
But should we have those discussions though? Because if 10 acres was doing well today, then one would expect that such conversations from government policy level are held so that in 10, 20 years, that 10 acres still remains 10 acres because we are trying to be food secure. That sovereignty of the food we produce still exists because, like you said, when the land question is never handled in this country, land is left for everyone to do that which they want to do.
Yeah, and you know the interesting, you rightly put it. I want you can go to Central Africa Republic. Those countries are really, really low. Even Mauritania, where the why saying came from, the proverb came from, they were really below Kenya. Yeah, but if you go to the market and you want to buy maize, you want to buy beans, you want to buy they'll be using a kilo as a standard measure. In Kenya, we have gorogoro. That's how far back we are. We measure with tins. We measure potatoes with portions, So
you have to buy cooking fat first.
We have to buy the cooking fat first
to get a gorogoro.
to get a gorogoro, so that so the thing is, we've got to get serious on those items, so that the moment we standardize how we measure our things. Yeah. And to answer your question on the discussions that we have had this discussion. Previously, governments have tried to address it.
Yeah.
But it's the right time now to look at the NCPB Act. The the guys who came up with this NCPB Act were actually wanted to know how many farmers, what assistance can we provide to farmers? Can we group the farmers? But there was an underwriter there that said you must bring the maize into NCPB. There's very good reason that you need to bring maize into NCPB for you to sell. That is where we now start measuring with a kilo. No more gorogoros. All right? The person who is measuring with gorogoro is the middleman, is the broker, because he wants to find a way of undercutting you. At the NCPB, we will now measure things like aflatoxins.
Okay.
All right? So the aflatoxin content in maize that is going around at the moment is very high.
So we are consuming poison.
It's very high. Yeah, some levels that are really not palatable. That is why we need the NCPB to be modified.
I'm sorry, but we're saying that essentially we need a law to make sure that the food that's being consumed by the people around the country is not poisoned.
It's safe.
There is a law. There is measurements, standards for it. But you've just set them aside, Try to feed the person, try to get food.
Regardless of what's in the food.
Yeah. And by the way, I think there was, before the Galana hype came up, there was maize produced somewhere around Galana that had aflatoxin. It still goes around to that temperature. That humidity that is found at the coast provides very good conditions for aflatoxins to thrive.
Okay. So some of these things, as you say them, seem obvious that we shouldn't be dealing with such issues at this time or in this juncture, especially when the race is towards food security. It was one of the items on the Big Four agenda in the previous administration for 10 years. Food security was one of them, was the big one.
Yeah.
But then it seems as though this thing that you're chasing, you don't have, it's like the person who's doing the race. You don't have the right shoes on, you don't have the right gear, you're just chasing, you're running somewhere, but we don't seem to know where we are going. Can we really say, for example, that agriculture is the bedrock, maybe not be the bedrock at this point, but is one of the key indicators of an economy if you're not putting in the correct inputs? The fertilizer question, everybody was shouting, we provided fertilizer at a subsidized rate and it was wonderful, but you're telling us that that's not even 20% of what you need to be functioning properly in an agricultural setting. It just seems that there's so many things running all over the place and they're not in formation, but that it would be easy to be food secure in Kenya today if you had all your ducks in a row. Am I being too ambitious?
No, you're not being ambitious. You're not being ambitious because there have been steps taken towards having a sustainable food secure country. They've been there.
And you wouldn't need to import.
You wouldn't need to import. If you had to look at the NCPB Act and try to get it working, right? You know what? Very interestingly, that in the board of NCPB there has to be two maize farmers, one wheat farmer. I don't know what that board constitutes. Are they farmers or are they office farmers? Very likely they are office farmers, and that's why we're in this situation. So there have been steps to try and address over time the situation you are in. It's just that government is cheekily introducing something like subsidized fertilizer, and then they run with it. They occupy everybody with subsidized fertilizer until you believe that now that the farmers have subsidized fertilizer, they can produce food. No, it's not that way.
Can we even be as controversial to say that you don't even need things like GMO? Because we know that GMO are foods that will withstand all of this plentiful abundance. You wouldn't need anything like that if you actually then sorted out some of these things. Can we say that?
We can say that. GMO, they would tell you we can get 40, 50 bags.
Yeah.
But you bring it to a Kenyan farmer, you'll get 11 bags. Yeah. Even if it is just the way we are doing things in Kenya. Yeah, we are not serious about trying to feed ourselves to be food sovereign.
Sovereign, yeah.
Sovereign, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even while at that, there has been a conversation that has been going around, especially when it comes to seeds. And why am I drilling a lot on these seeds? Because there was a conversation that when you have indigenous seeds and those who are working with them, it would be a crime for you to have them or for you to develop the same. And that conversation stuck, especially with the rights activists in the food sector who said, no, allow us to have our own indigenous seeds that we're used to, instead of introducing to us foreign seeds that we don't know where it's come from, that exposes their individuals to what many would say is carcinogenic materials. And that conversation has equally made many as well just stay away from the entire maize, because there is GMO that is coming into the country. There is the question of seed sovereignty that has existed. What's the truth? What's the myth? What's the facts?
Okay, one fact I know is that indigenous seed maize, indigenous maize is more nutritious and very palatable and very sweet. And research needs to be done whether it has what amounts of sugars it has in it, what amount of starch it has in it, but it's good.
Yes.
All right. And it's good that the international bodies that are controlling seed were put on check. Otherwise, because if you look at GMO seed, the rules around it is that it's been made that you cannot recycle the seed itself, and they want you to go back to
always buying from them,
and we don't have that capacity. But that is rocket science you're trying to address, because with the hybrid seeds that we produce locally, there are farmers who can reach 40-50 bags. Okay, that would address the situation we are in at the moment. It's just that I talked earlier on market efficiency. If you are efficient, you'll put your money onto the roads that are producing food. All right? You will ensure that we are all collecting the maize in one central location. We will ensure that brokers, the middlemen,
are
removed. Because now, the consumer is paying a very high price. The producer is being paid a very low price. So somewhere in the middle there is where it is incentivizing the industry. And that is what we need to address. KRA can address it, we need the farmer to file his returns that he's selling to this particular broker. That particular broker is selling to this miller. And if that is addressed, then we now know how much the middlemen are getting. Yeah, but they do make more than the farmer. And they do make a killing of the consumer. Yeah.
You know what we've done today is that you've said that the crisis, and though where you don't have to bring in, a lot of crisis situations require you to bring in external parties, but that the food crisis that Kenya is currently experiencing can actually be solved from within.
Yes, indeed. It will be solved. It has only been solved within. We are not doing the right thing as a country. The ministry is not doing what is it they are required to do. But for government, particularly the Ministry of Agriculture, I had said earlier it is populated with people who I think are not patriotic. You saw the other day the government is talking about we are going to import 1 million bags. Are you sure that 1 million bags? It could be the high seas already.
It's already on the way.
It might not even be maize.
Yeah.
It might be something else. But why don't we address those pertinent issues concerning the whole organization of maize production in Kenya?
Indeed.
Yeah.
Nahshon Ngetich is the chairman of the Cereal Growers Association and has been here with us this morning. Thank you for shepherding this conversation with us this morning. Definitely want to continue to watch.
Thank you.
Asante sana.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.